Hi, in this video I just want to show you how I'm going to color this image with alcohol markers. Now I have another one here. This is the blue one, and the blue one I used cool grays for the white flowers, and in the red one, because red is a warm color, I used the warm grays. Now I have this piece here and it's got this yuck on it, and that's okay because I'm going to cut this out anyway. So I'm going to start off coloring, and sometimes I start lightest to darkest, but in this case, in this particular one, I'm going to start with the darkest color first because I'm not really an artist. I just like to get my shadows down so I know where they are. So I usually start in the center of the flower, and then what I do is I start coming out with the darkest color. I forgot to put the cap down for this one. This is Desert Night ink, and I'm going around the center here, and then what I will do is I will start to flick out toward the petals, adding the darkest in there first. Then I like to go wherever I see a leaf that is overlapped another one, I will draw down next to that like this, and just give those shadows and get the shadows in there. Once the shadows are in, and I'll also go through and go over the curled up pieces. I like to make these look rounded, so what I'm doing is I'm putting a little bit of shadow on the very ends of those little, they're kind of like crescent shapes almost, and so I'll put a little bit on the ends and continue with this flower. Of course I had to do the biggest one first, right? And when you're working with these, turn your paper. As you can see, I'm going to be turning this paper again and again and again because I'm using the brush tip of these markers. These are Altenew's artist markers, and they are an alcohol based. This one is Dusk, and now I'm going to come in and I'm going to flick Dusk out from the night, Desert Night, and it's going to come out into the petals a little bit. And then I'm going to blend out those darker colors, still leaving a little bit in the highlight in those curled up leaves. So I'll continue to put all these shadows in, and I'm going to blend around everywhere where I put dark ink from Desert Night. I'm going to come in with the Dusk, and I'm going to blend around those and pull those out into the leaves, the petals. But I'm also going to leave a lot of area for highlight. And sometimes there's a little bit of a shadow. I think there should be a shadow underneath those curled up edges on a flower, so I'm putting some there. Now what you see me doing here is everywhere a petal has a dip in it, there's going to be a shadow there. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking the marker and I'm just making it like a little upside or a V shape by sliding it across and then pulling it down toward the center of the flower, if that makes any sense. So basically I'm going to spend some time blending here. And then the final color that I ended up using was, I think it's Sea Glass. I skipped Ocean Waves because it's a little too turquoise for this. It's pretty, but it was just too turquoisey. So now I'm coming in with Sea Glass, and I'm going to blend everything together here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue here blending, and I will try to speed it up a little bit so you can watch the whole thing. Okay, now I'm going to start doing the leaves, and I always start with the darkest color again, and this is Evergreen. And there's little spots in there where it's just going to be dark green mostly. I always start up near the flower, the base of the flowers, and I work my way out, and I put the darkest green up near the flower. I try to put it on the very tip, again, of these curled up pieces, and sometimes I put it around the edges where I feel like the leaf would be curled under and turned down, because the center of the leaf will be my lightest color. So sometimes I put a little bit of dark green down the vine, or the vein of the leaf anyway, I mean to say. Okay, I think it's forest clay, but I can't remember what all the colors are, but there's the number. Anyway, so I'm going to blend this one out. And I'm going to do all the leaves the same way. There's 4 different leaves here, starting out with the darkest color and then blending in the medium color and then finally the last color, so that the leaves have some kind of curved shape, or so that the lightest part that's sticking up is going to catch the light. And so the final one, I think, is frayed leaf. And so basically I just take the frayed leaf and I blend the other 2 colors together. Now sometimes you'll see me go back in and grab a dark color like I did with the flower. I went back in and grabbed darker because I realized I needed more shadow. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just let it go. It depends on how the leaf looks. So I'm going to color the leaves and then continue on, and I'll speed this up, and if I can ever figure out how to get music in these videos, I'll do that too. Okay, now I'm going to skip the rest of the leaves, I guess, because I didn't realize I was going to do that, and I'm going to start coloring in these white flowers. Now, even though they're white and the cardstock is white, you still need to put some shadows in. So I'm starting out with, I think this is C2, I can't see it from here, but so I'm going to put shadows in, and these are the cool grays. Now, when I'm coloring blues, that's a cool color, and I usually use the cool grays. Sometimes I put them right over top of colors to give some shadows right on top of them. When I blended the whole thing in, I used the C00, and this is the C1 coming in to blend a little bit of these. When I did the red flowers, like I said, I used the warm grays. I didn't have any cool grays from Altenew, so I had Copics, and that's what I used. So there you go. They're really not that difficult to do. It's actually kind of fun to paint or to color in white flowers, because all you really have to do is worry about where the shadows are. And because the cardstock in the background is pure white almost, when you put this C00 in the center, it still is going to make that flower look white. So anyway, that's how you do those. And I'll continue on. Okay, now I'm going to speed through doing the rest of the leaves. Sometimes I do the leaves first simply because if I make a mistake and have to throw out a piece because I messed up, I have not invested in all those flowers. So there's the leaves, really fast. And now I have the other 2 blue flowers and the other white flower to do, and so I'm just going to zip through this. At least you'll see the whole thing done. Same exact process. I'm just going to do the darkest color first. When I put the centers in these flowers, it's going to be Warm Sunshine and Caramel Toffee are the 2 colors that I use. I just put the Warm Sunshine in, and then I just put the shadows in with the Caramel Toffee. And that's all there is to it. So I'll just go ahead and speed this up for you so you can see the whole thing.